Yo guys, what's up? In a previous video where I discussed the Warcraft 3 patch, I asked you guys if you would be interested to hear about some League of Legends content as I had recently started playing League of Legends. You replied in the many hundreds of comments with many emphatic no's. Perhaps ironically, I will publish this anyway. At least you know that I'm not just pandering and creating content what I think people want to see, but stuff that I'm actually just passionate about. So if you're not interested, that's fine. But I want to talk about my top 10 favorite things about League so far after playing for a little bit. I'm enjoying the game a lot. Warcraft 3 has always got a special place in my heart, and I'll surely be back to it very, very soon after I complete my League of Legends arc. I'll always come back to it, but I'm enjoying the League arc right now, so let's talk a little bit about it. I've been playing League of Legends for about 5 weeks now, and I went from unranked to bronze 3 to now platinum 4 with a win rate of 53% after a little over 200 games of ranked. And I wanted to give you guys my general impression so far, my general enjoyment so far, how my views on the game changed, and then go through the top 10 things I like the most and the bottom 5 things, or the top 5 things I like the least. So let's jump into it. My general impression so far is that League is a complex and skill-based game with pretty fast action, an interesting and complex laning phase. You need a lot of champion knowledge, a lot of matchup knowledge, and it's been very fun learning the game as a new player. I do have everyone on mute. A lot of people have been asking, is League less toxic than Dota 2? Because you've got that video from Dota 2 where you said you're quitting because you were kind of sick of some of the backseating or some of the, mentalities that you had to endure there. And yes, and I got coached by Ari before, this top support player from Team OG, and he said I should mute everyone in Dota 2 because you need to learn your own ideas about the game rather than just pandering to the most recent loud complaint from one of your teammates. And I can't express enough how right he was. While it may seem a little egocentric or selfish or, tunnel visioned to have chat off and potentially miss out on some important teamwork discussions with your teammates, it has been extremely healthy for my mentality, because rather than constantly worrying about the judgment of my teammates, I'm already getting enough judgment in my Twitch chat. I can just focus on my own ideas about the game. What is important is that I'm trying my best every single game to win the game. And to my teammates, that should matter. And I will miss some important callouts, yes, but I'm also missing all the potentially kind of distracting complaints from some of my teammates. And I think that's been a good trade-off. It's already difficult enough to learn a complex game like League with over 160 different champions and a lot of intricate game mechanics without the distraction of needing to just do what my teammates want me to do. I tend to feel quite guilty when I make a mistake, and reading judgment in Twitch chat or in the game from my teammates actually exacerbates that feeling of guilt. A guilty conscience doesn't feel creative, optimistic, and happy, and feels more like it wants to defend its own ego, and that does not help me make better decisions or play better mechanically. So I'm really doing the best thing for my teammates, even if it may seem a little bit more self-centered. And my win rate proves that so far it's working out at least a little bit. How did I view League of Legends before I started playing it? Well, I don't actually even know when the game came out, but I know it was somewhere between 2011 and 2016 probably, before HOTS but after Dota 2. And most of the time I spoke to League players that were no longer playing, that were like, man, this game is so shit. Like, I get so sick of the toxicity or the game mechanics or whatever. So I hear a lot of people that have left in exodus of League, and they're not necessarily a good representative of how the game is. I also talked to some people that do still play League, and they all said the game is shit too. I don't know why they're jealously guarding this game. They don't want other people to enjoy it. Why? The game is really good. I think a lot of people have developed a negative relationship towards the game because of a piling up of quote-unquote traumatic experiences. I think the toxicity that they themselves have perpetrated or received from others. I think the negative experiences they had when they got snowballed and lost, any griefers they had, I think those negative experiences pile up and are remembered more than some of the positive experiences. And at some point, it's just enough is enough. And so you've developed a negative relationship to the game and you end up quitting. But I think the game itself is actually really good. And my mission is to not play the game anymore if I develop a negative relationship towards it, which right now is not the case at all. It's very positive. So, yeah, I just need to guard myself against becoming the villain they warned me about, and you know, becoming negative about it or not enjoying it but playing it anyway because I'm addicted. I'm going to take a break if that happens. But right now, I'm enjoying it a lot. What's that sound? Is that the League client? Is the League client talking to me? Let me just close the League client for a bit. It had something to say about that. Interesting. They're listening. Vanguard, quite an intrusive program, huh? And so that's kind of what I heard sometimes before I started playing League. Then I sometimes saw some ego players in Heroes of the Storm, which is a game that is more emphasizing teamwork. And sometimes you saw these terms, this terminology that's used specifically in League, like ADC, carry, and what's your main, like what's your main champion? We don't really talk about it like that in Heroes of the Storm. Whenever you saw this terminology, you knew you were dealing with a League of Legends player specimen. And oftentimes these players made the League look a little bit bad because the way that they spoke in HOTS seemed very self-centered and you should die for me, you're the support, you should die for me, or you're the tank, you should tank and die for me, or whatever. And that's not really how HOTS works. Everyone should endeavor to stay alive there. Every character can put out serious damage and is important for the success of the team fight. I think HOTS is more like WoW Arena, which is a 3-on-3 deathmatch where if one dies, often the fight is over already. And you can't really 1v3 or 1v9 there like you can in League. But more about that later. So, yeah, my views on League, the game, did change quite a bit because I'm also more open-minded now than I was 10 years ago. So I'm playing more different games and I'm comparing them. But anyway, that's a lot of prelude. Let's go into the top 10 things I like the most in League of Legends. First and foremost, it's the laning phase. Differently than Heroes of the Storm, the laning phase is very significant, it's very important, it's skillful, and it endures. Usually after 3 to 5 minutes, Heroes of the Storm laning phase is pretty much dead. You just show up now and then, you blast all the waves with all your abilities, and then you leave. And you could leave for quite a while. In League of Legends, the laning phase is incredibly important. Every time I get coached by high-level players like Pobelter, or Tyler 1 or Quante, I get the emphasis that you must catch every wave at your tower. If you're a top laner, if you're a mid laner, you need to try and catch every wave. CS, which is your creep score, is very important. You need to get the gold and the experience, and you need to protect your towers. Short roams are possible and even encouraged, but it should be done contingent upon the idea that your lane is in a good state, that the wave is in a good state, you've just pushed out a wave, maybe you proxied a wave, and this leads to a relatively extended laning phase that could last 10 to 15 minutes with only occasional forays towards an objective. And I like it. There's an emphasis on last hitting minions, which gives you your CS, obtaining the gold required. It leads to power growth. There's a short time to kill. 2 heroes, 2 champions in League of Legends that are laning against each other have serious ability to kill one another. Like, you could get farmed over and over and die like 6 times in 10 minutes, or be the one that perpetrates that against your lane opponent. Sometimes there are people coming to gank and help you out, or help you have a terrible time, as you're 1v2 or 1v3 all the time. But the result of the laning phase is incredibly impactful. In Heroes of the Storm, a game that I also love and have tens of thousands of hours in, if you're solo laning as a typical solo lane, you can't kill your opponents pretty much, unless they fuck up big time. And you can't get killed. So you're usually just standing there doing minimal, meaningless trades. And I'm not saying that I don't like that, or how In Hot, you quickly rotate to another lane, and then you have a lot of team fights, a lot of action. It's kind of this Mario Party brawl kind of experience. I like it, but what I like about League is that you do have that kill ability. You do have the ability to drop someone's health to 0 very, very quickly with the correct sequence of moves and summoner spells. And you have to have extensive matchup knowledge, and I get the feeling that you could practice your matchup knowledge for tens of thousands of hours. And because it is so complex and so deep, it is actually usually encouraged to not play a lot of different champions as you learn the game, because you cannot possibly be equally good at 40 different champions in a single lane, because the permutations of different matchup possibilities will just be too vast. And so there's a real growth journey, and I like that a lot. Number 2, team fights. Team fights are hectic, lethal, fast, and skill-based. And I have only just begun to scratch the surface of it. I feel like a headless chicken walking around, firing in random directions around me when I'm surrounded by enemies and teammates. And that makes it so impressive that I miss so many of my skill shots when there's enemies all around me. I've only just begun to scratch the surface of how difficult it is and how bad I am at team fights, but it's a lot of fun to learn. And every time there's different champions all around me on the enemy team and on my team, and it's fun. Number 3, the power growth. If you have a good laning phase and if you get a couple of kills and you have good CS, you feel so strong compared to everyone else that it's even surprising the moment that you come for an objective and you have a team fight and you realize that the power growth that you've had vastly outstrips that anyone else has. And then you get this feeling like, wow, I am strong. 3 people just ran at me and I made them all run or they died. And I'm still here. I'm still standing because I got more items, I got more levels, and it feels really good. It's a lovely power fantasy. The replay system for League is actually really good. Now, it's not perfect. There are some animation bugs and maybe some bugs I haven't discovered yet, but it is better than the Dota 2 replay system in one specific way, which is that the replay is immediately available upon finishing a game. In Dota 2, you have to wait a couple of minutes, which for my ADHD brain, I've not been diagnosed, but you know, the idea of, it means that sometimes I'm not patient enough to wait for the replay and I'll just rage queue into the next game. But in League, I have no excuse. I can immediately watch the replay and then learn from it. And sometimes I even do watch the replay immediately after. It's immediately available. And then the way that it's better than the Heroes of the Storm replay system is that you can immediately jump to the end of the replay, if you so choose, to see the final team fight. I don't know how the technology is there. I'm not going to say League has a good client. Generally, it doesn't. There's a lot of wonky stuff about it. But the replay, for the replay being able to jump to the end, that's really nice. Because in Heroes of the Storm, you need to play everything at x8 speed. So if you had a 40-minute replay, that's going to take at least 4 minutes to get to the end. 5 minutes. 2.5? 5 minutes, right? Yes, we'll edit this in post. Number 5, accessibility. I've mentioned that League is a deep and complex game. There's lots of different champions to learn, over 160 I believe. There are consistent updates as well, which means you have to study the patch notes. I'm sure every League player does. Study the patch notes and see, how does this change things for me? I need to study these notes before I start playing, because what if I do something suboptimal, then my teammates are going to be cross with me. However, even though there's so much to learn, you really can just sit down and start just kind of playing and kind of get the hang of it and basically play it at a decent base level. I think League has a much lower skill floor, which means it's easier to start playing at an okay base level than, for instance, Dota 2, where there are a lot of intricate game systems and control mechanisms like courier management and whatnot, and how to stack camps or how to use camps to pull lanes, lane minions away. It is easier to just start playing League. Now, that's not to say you're going to be any good at it, but generally what I mean by accessibility is how much general understanding do you need, how much learning do you need before you press play game in multiplayer and feel kind of like you can self-educate yourself to get better. And I feel like in League, you really can just launch the game and start playing. Like the hotkeys are all in sight of your UI. You generally, if as long as you understand what MOBAs are. If you don't, then League is also going to feel like it has a really high skill floor. I guess that's kind of a big presumption. But overall, I feel like among MOBAs, it's relatively accessible. Perhaps less accessible than HOTS, but much more accessible than Dota 2. Number 6 is the culture. It's fun to be part of a game that feels alive, like it has a world to experience and is not just a game. There's a lot of culture around League of Legends. Arcane, have you seen it yet? It's a show on Netflix, and there's 2 seasons. It's a really good animation by Fortiche studio from France, made in conjunction with Riot, and it's a lot of fun. I finished season 1, and season 2 I almost finished it, but it's very good, and it was actually one of the big catalysts for me to want to start playing League in the first time. So it works. All the songs around the game. There's a lot of banger songs that you don't even necessarily recognize they're League songs if you don't know. There could be normies listening to League songs and say, yeah, that's a good pop song. And they don't even know it's from a game. And so there's a lot of culture around to be experienced on YouTube or Spotify that make the game just feel a little bit more alive. It's fun to listen to them without playing League, and even more fun to know that they are related to League after I've started playing and fell in love with the game. There's skins, there's fandoms. Apparently every champion has its own subreddit where people discuss. They certainly don't show their favorite skins or make lists with which champion skins show feet for different female champion skins and characters and champions. Certainly that wouldn't be happening, but they're going to be discussing game strategies and stuff on how to play the champion. So I think that's pretty neat. And there's a lot of lore around the game. Maybe one day we'll even have a Riot League of Legends style MMORPG, which was recently delayed, but maybe it's going to happen. Number 7, player base size. It's fun to be part of a game that everyone plays, quote unquote. I felt the same when I was playing Pokemon Go. It was like a global phenomenon. Everyone came together to enjoy Pokemon Go during those few weeks after its release. Sure, later on, you would walk around with your phone in an area you really shouldn't be when you think of it from a safety perspective. Maybe you get a little bit mugged or beat up, but in the first few weeks, you didn't hear those stories all that much. There was this one moment where I was standing in the city and we all had our iPhones out to play some Pokemon Go and catch some mons. And then someone said, "Oh, there's a Squirtle nest appearing nearby, but it's going to time out in 5 minutes. Quick, give me your unlocked phones and I'll go on my bicycle. I'm the only one that can reach it that fast. Anyone that wants to, give me your unlocked phone and I'll catch the Pokemon for you." And both I and my wife gave our phones to him because we can read people. We knew he's not going to scam us. He's not going to take our unlocked phones and sell it on the black market. So we gave him our 2 iPhones. 6 other people gave their phone. He came back. We had a Squirtle. And a minimal spam email started appearing in the weeks following. So he really didn't abuse our trust all that much. No, I'm just kidding. From what I could tell, no spyware. It was just good. And it's that kind of global phenomenon that can happen when you're all enjoying the same thing together. I believe League has 7 or 10, I don't know exactly how many, 7 or 10 million monthly active users. I heard something like EU West has 3 million players. Supposedly, my Platinum 4 rank puts me in the top 20% of skill bracket, together with 600,000 other players. So it's a pretty big community, and it's fun to be a part of such a big community. Number 8. Because of that, educational content is rampantly available. It's easier to learn this way. There's lots of videos out there. There's YouTube channels and Twitch channels dedicated to teaching people the game. You've got the Broken by Concept podcast. You've got people like Quante or Baus that are teaching different ways to play different champions or games. And that makes it a lot easier to learn. I'm a Warcraft 3 creator originally, together with Heroes of the Storm, and I made a lot of guides for those games. I probably made 10, 20 different guides for Heroes of the Storm. I made 20 plus different guides for Warcraft 3, and that's what people often refer to when they're trying to pick up a game for the first time. I wish there were more people making quality guides that have good visibility so that new players can start learning the game in those games. But by comparison, those are a bit more niche. There was a lot of guide content for Warcraft 3 in its heyday recently in 2003 and 4 and 5. I remember there were like strategy websites with articles, like written articles, not YouTube, right? But not as much anymore. So it's nice to be able to summon forth League educational content to learn the game with, basically. Number 9, objectives and game length. It seems pretty clear that Riot is aiming for League games to last between, well, literally 15 minutes, which is the first time window where you're allowed to forfeit, and this happens more than I would used to like, but now I kind of get it, because it can be really bad when you're behind and you see no way to come back. So I allow League its forfeit function, even though if you asked me 5 years ago, I was vehemently and adamantly against any multiplayer games having forfeit culture, because having the forfeit button leads to weak mindset. And I still believe that, actually. But at the same time, it's not that fun being held hostage in a game that you no longer have hope in. I don't know how many times I voted no to surrender in my 200 plus ranked games. Probably hundreds of times, actually. Sometimes multiple times per game. But I've also said yes a couple of times, and I felt relieved I could exit the game. So maybe it deserves to be in League. But either way, the games aren't that long. They're like 15 to 30, 35 minutes. So you don't have the 1 hour slugfest that Dota 2 has, as much as I did enjoy those. But it's nice to have like a kind of predictable, decent game length. 25, 30, 35 minutes is, at my rank, is how long the games are lasting. And because of the regular objectives like Drake at minute 5, Void Corrupts at minute 8, Baron Nashor at minute 25, you create these moments where the teams are supposed to come together and have a potentially game-ending fight that can give enough power, or maybe because you won the fight so hard that you can end the game off the back of that. Because you don't just want to lane until the end of the game and then have one of your solo laners apparently push to the Nexus, destroy it, and win the game like that. So I think the game pacing has been fairly well crafted by Riot. And finally, teamwork. I know, our teammates, they're the worst, right? Opponents are smurfing, our teammates never do anything right. But yeah, I've had a couple of griefers, thankfully very few, and it does happen sometimes. And I'm fine with it, that it happens sometimes. Luckily, it's not been that frequent yet. Overall, most people seem to be wanting to win. And while many different people have a different idea of how to win, for instance, yesterday's Orianna thought that we should both walk into tower in the top lane and try to kill that one guy that was hiding behind his tower. And we both flashed and died. That was against the Gangplank. That was not good. He wasn't good, but I didn't do right either. But he did seem to want to win in general. Like, most people don't outright give up, stand in the bush and go AFK so far. Whether it's via ganks, doing the objective, or laning well, or warning each other with spam pings, you're about to get ganked. People are trying to win, and it feels really good to carry your team and to do so well that you were the MVP. But it feels pretty good to get carried sometimes as well, and just try to stem the bleeding of your own inferiority when you're losing lane. And so through the power of teamwork, you can come together and get the W, and that feels pretty fun in a way that one-on-one games will never have that kind of dimension to it. And it seems like the reporting system is working pretty well. Is it? Do you guys agree with that or not? Is it working well? Because I'm getting feedback sometimes that my reports did something. So people are trying not to get reported. It seems like people engage in less griefing behavior out of fear for it. It's all right. It's all right. All right. What are the 5 things I like the least about League of Legends? Well, it's pretty snowbally. Falling behind early can feel very snowbally. There's kind of a lack of things to do when you're behind. Good coaches have told me time and time again, I'm just supposed to go back to my lane and take a beating. And try not to die too much. And try to get a bit of XP. Even if I can't touch the minions and I don't get gold, just try to at least get the XP. And hope maybe you're going to get help from somewhere else. So that doesn't feel that good when you fall behind and you get snowballed and you're not allowed to deviate the game plan. In Warcraft 3, if I fall behind, maybe I'm going to do constant guerrilla tactics and try the Zeppelin drop or speed scroll run by and kill their workers. I can't win a straight up fight anymore, but maybe I can do constant TP outs while taking creeps far on the map And then when an opponent comes to gank me, I'll just TP out and I go somewhere else. So that you can use maneuvering and going elsewhere to try to engineer a comeback when a direct fight is not palatable or possible. But in League, usually, if I'm getting abused by my lane opponent, I'm just sent right back to them again. Because I'm supposed to stay in my lane. That doesn't feel that good. However, when I'm the one doing the snowballing, I think everything is fine. Isn't that weird? I think that's fine. Because I'll snowball and I'll be strong. So being on the receiving end of it, not as fun. But you could make an argument that this is just saying winning, fun, good. Losing, bad, yuck. Number 2. Once you get to the late game, like 40 minutes, 35, 40 minutes, there's a chance you're fully slotted out. 5 3,000 gold items, tier 3 boots, and you might have 2,000 gold in the bank. And you can spend it on a 500 gold elixir to give a temporary boost, and maybe you'll do that several times. But you could have thousands of gold, and this happened to me a couple of times, that simply cannot be used. In Dota 2, I may replace my boots with a 3,000 gold item that has some movement speed. But at least in my current understanding of the game, this is not something we're doing a lot in League of Legends. Maybe it's a lack of game understanding and knowledge, but overall, gold just ceases to have value once you're fully kitted out. It seems like. If I'm wrong, I apologize, but this is my current understanding. Number 3, League is a complex game. And the result of that is that there can be some frustrations, in particular, built up over the long term. Complex games require deep commitment to learn and enjoy the game. Constant patches, every 2 weeks apparently, create more complexity of learning and actually require more commitment to learn them. This creates an investment of time. When people invest time, they want to get paid off on that investment. The investment of that is satisfaction and enjoyment. And so sometimes any of the dozens of areas of skill that people have can fall short of the expectations of their teammates. Maybe you are very good at your champion mechanics, but you're not very good at looking at the minimap. Or you see everything on the minimap and you can see all the disasters that are about to be beset upon your teammates, but no matter how much you warn them, they're not listening. Or maybe you're good at all of those, but you have a terrible mental and you easily blow up and give up. Because you're so upset with what your teammates are doing. And it's making you play worse, but you can't help yourself because you're just so mad and distracted. And you don't understand how you're lumped together with these nitwits. All of these frustrations can mount up and boil up over time. And if you don't give yourself a chance to flow away the frustration by taking relaxing breaks and engaging in other activities that offer perspective and give you a chance to spend time thinking about other things, if we don't do that, it can reach a boiling point where we ourselves may become less courteous than we like to see in ourselves, right? So keeping a healthy relationship to the game is important to me, and so I'll try to take breaks when I'm getting too fucked up and I'm getting too frustrated. If I realize that I've become the villain in a game, I should definitely take a break, because everyone is warning this game will corrupt you, and I'm not going to let it happen. And if it does, I'll take a break, because I don't want to treat people that way. Gatekeeping, number 4. There's a decent amount of gatekeeping in games like this. People forget how long it took for them to learn the game. There's not enough general understanding and patience to let players figure out the game without being ridiculed or sternly backseated. Elite gaming communities of high skill and complex and deep games often become like this. I wish I could say that Warcraft 3 was exempt of this type of behavior, but it isn't. Some of the stories of toxic gaming communities are actually from a micro community inside Warcraft 3. When I started playing tower defense, Legion tower defense in Warcraft 3, the people were excited I was finally trying the game, but the veterans of League were asking for my teammates and I to be banned from the map. So we are just a new player, and the way that new players should be treated by a matchmaking system is to be placed with other new players, but those often don't exist. So you had these Legion TD veterans that were asking for the player that was on their team to be banned because he was bad. So I explained in all chat, that's probably one of my viewers. They're queuing up for the game, same as me, we're all new. And even though you have a new teammate right now that's learning the game, try to be patient and understanding because I'm new too, and so are my teammates. But he said pretty much in so many words that he didn't care. That person needed to be banned anyway. So this is the kind of gatekeeping where it's like, I want a good experience, and this guy is ruining my game, and I don't care he's new, I don't care if my game dies. I'm going to gatekeep the shit out of him, and he should be reported, and he should feel bad that he's bad. And you need to learn the game more before you start playing. Wait a second. How do you learn the game? By playing. So I need to learn more before I start playing, because I'm not allowed to play if I'm bad, even though I'm new. So wait, then nobody would play. The game will die. So yeah. Ultimately, it's a streamer's own choice to stream their game, so I'm expecting that from Twitch chat. And I can also mute everyone in the game with Riot's muting system, so it's not really that big of a deal, but there is a lot of gatekeeping, and I would just like to remind people that, remember, people could be new players, even in a game like this, and don't expect them to be perfect and great at everything right away. It takes a lot of time to learn, and sometimes it's frustrating. That's all. It can be a little frustrating to see so little understanding for it. And remember, I've seen new players in Warcraft 3, and sometimes I get frustrated with them as well. I've already coached you on this. Why are you still making this mistake? Yeah, it's a message to myself as well. Be patient. Number 5, thing I hate about League. Getting ganked. Cringe enemy junglers, supports, and mid laners that are ganking me and are not respecting the one-on-one. It's so fucking cringe. If my jungler ganks, it's okay. But if I get ganked and I'm 1v2, 1v3 the whole time, it really sucks. So please stop doing it. Thank you. Now, sometimes junglers or mid laners will ruin their own game plan to come and gank me. And that should be a good thing, because we're probably going to win the game because of it. They just missed 2 waves mid. They skipped how many creeps in their own jungle? And my jungler's 2 levels ahead of theirs. And we just got Drake. But I'm still having a bad game experience, because I'm 0-3-0. And the enemy top laner is 2-0-1. And I don't like it. Yes, we won the game, but I had a bad experience. Nah. I'm kind of okay with that from an intellectual point of view. Like, from I know this is good for me because they're over-focusing on top. It's good for my team, and we won. Cool. But I prefer for it not to happen. I prefer not to get ganked. That's all. Yep, that's it. Alright, that's my experiences so far in League of Legends. I think I'm going to have a lot more fun with the game. Let me know what you think. And I'll see you guys next time. Cheers. Peace.